You are not disturbed by what happens, but by your opinion of what happens. Epictetus said this over 2,000 years ago, and Epictetus was right. He was a slave turned philosopher, and he faced many struggles in his life. And his name, we don't know his name, but the name Epictetus was given to him by his followers. It means acquired or gained. And he affected the lives of millions, saved the lives of millions, and he even changed the modern landscape for therapeutic techniques. Just by one entry into his Enchiridion, sprung out a whole therapeutic technique that we use in the modern world. A very effective therapeutic technique called rational emotive behavioral therapy. And so when you think of this quote by Epictetus, this thing he was saying, that it is not events that disturb us, but our opinion of these events, which is true. And when you hear this, many people might disagree. People may not add so much weight to this, but when you really think about all the things in your life that disturb you, evoke anger in you, evoke jealousy, greed, lust, envy, desire, the kind of things that provoke the passions, when you think about all these things and how they influence your life, and if you could nullify all this with a shift in a mindset that the Stoics taught us, and I'll teach you in this video, then all these problems would disappear, no? So if you think to the modern landscape of the time you spend on social media, the time you spend watching the news, the opinions of others that you hear, the thoughts and ideas that transpire in front of you, when you think on all this and how much it disturbs you throughout the day, you're disturbed by the lives that people live. And really, if you think on this deeply for a second, just for the sake of this video, for the sake of you understanding how serious this thing is, and by understanding how serious this is and how much it influences and impacts your life in a negative way, then you can understand how serious it is that you follow this Stoic advice and how much it will change your life. It would literally change every aspect of your life for the better. And how do I know this? Because I've practiced it for a very long time after learning from the Stoics, and it has completely reshaped my life for the positive. So when someone is rude to you and they say a comment about the way you are, it is not the actual thing that happens that disturbs you. It's the opinion you take on from this. And I remember watching an interview of Selma Hayek, and she's talking about this actually, surprisingly. And she says, if I stood here, she was speaking to a man that didn't speak any Spanish, and I insulted you in Spanish, and I said the worst things possible, you wouldn't take any offense, actually, because you don't understand Spanish. But the event is the same. I'm insulting you, but you're not able to translate it and in turn be insulted. So I'm going to give you two ways in which you can literally treat all the noise in the world, all the selfish desires, all the negative passions, the impulses, all the hurt you take on from the things that happen in your life. I'm going to teach you how you can, let's say, hear that in Spanish or a language you don't understand. So these things happen, but you do not translate them into hurt. You do not translate them into pain. You just let them happen as they are part of nature. And it does sound very, it doesn't sound tangible. It doesn't sound real. It sounds far too spiritual. But the Stoics, the thing I like about them, they're very practical, very direct. And their teachings had a great impact on my life, had a great impact on millions of others. That's the thing I like about the Stoics. It's very simple and basic. very graspable, not like many of these philosophies and ideas that we hear that just seem too good to be real, and oftentimes are too good to be real. So the first thing I'd like to explain, I've been working with Tulku Lobsang at the Mulligan Brothers. We've been working with him, and he was gracious enough to speak with Jordan and the team for over 10 hours and share his wisdom that he's learned. If you don't know who Tulku Lobsang is, he is an 8th generation Lama. He's the 8th reincarnation, and he is a Buddhist master. And, you know, he's an expert in Tummo practice, Tummo fire practice, and he knows so much about the teachings of Buddhism, and he has such a great way of explaining it. But something he said that has really stuck with me is actually something Mike Tyson said in an interview that stuck with me also. And it's the exact same thing. One day he was teaching, and a man said to him, you know, how is it you're always so happy? You seem so undisturbed. You seem so peaceful and confident in your life. And Tulku Lobsang went over to this man, whispered in his ear what he said before. He said, can I tell you a secret? So I don't want you to tell anyone. He said, okay. So he leans over into his ear, whispers in his ear. He says, life is not so serious. I don't take life serious. And in fact, life does not take us serious. It's all just a joke. And saying that now, as I'm saying it to you, I remember listening to an Alan Watts lecture, and he said the exact same thing. Life is just one big joke. And that's just something to hold on to before I get into the Stoic teachings, is life is not so serious, you know. The Stoics always talk about memento mori, and so do the Buddhists. They talk about the fact that death is just a part of nature. You know, as the leaves fall from the trees, we fall to ash, we fall back to nature, we are returned. And the Stoics believe this. The Stoics actually taught us to remember our own mortality every single moment. They thought it was one of the most important practices. But the idea is, like, we're only here for a brief moment. So don't take it so serious. It's really not. It's just a bit of fun whilst we're here. So enjoy and be good. So I'll get into the main Stoic teaching. And it's only something, you know, I've been practicing Stoicism for over 10 years. I've been studying it. But I think most of that time I wasn't actually practicing it. I thought I was. I was learning about it, reading about it, you know, soaking in all the wisdom, which is part of it. The theory side, shall I say. But if you're wanting to learn how to drive, you could spend 30 years doing theory, but it only takes a month of practice, of the practical side, to actually learn how to drive. So the theory is important, but the practical side is far more important. And that is the same with Stoicism. I spent far too long learning the theory. So I get into this practice. I think this is the main key to not being disturbed by events. There's two keys, but the main key to not being disturbed by events, and as I said before, as Samuel Hayek said, is hearing them in a foreign language, is understanding fundamentally what is good and what is bad. Because the Stoics taught us what is good and what is bad, and the Stoics said that virtue is the only good and vice is the only bad. So all these other things that disturb us, not getting the amount of followers we want, not getting the respect we want, money, health, fame, all these kind of things, these are indifferent, the Stoics said, and they can be used for good or for bad. And if you were to sit here and disagree, saying, no, wealth is good, health is good, I'll just quickly, briefly dissolve that illusion. The wealth of some billionaire that is destroying the lands for oil And, it's resulting, I mean, this happens in the world a lot. I've watched documentaries on this, and people are dying from sickness that is caused through the wealth gain of these greedy people. So if you're saying wealth is good, then I would completely dissolve that and say wealth in this case is terrible, because the people that are gaining the wealth are acting in accordance with vice, not through virtue. But wealth can be good if it's used through virtue, through helping people, through feeding people, through charity, and through helping your family have shelter and food. It's not a bad thing. So wealth is indifferent. Health is indifferent. If there was an evil dictator going around right now, causing lots of problems for everyday people, and people are suffering because of this dictator, or they're dying because of this dictator. I'm sure many people will hope that they have poor health. They would think, let's not have another year of this. Let's not have another decade or 3 decades or whatever. So health and wealth, they're indifferent, as is everything that is not vice or virtue. So vice, virtue. Virtue alone is good. Virtue is wisdom, courage, temperance, justice. And vice is the direct opposites of this: injustice, intemperance, cowardice, foolishness. And the idea here is that the Stoics say you must always act out of virtue. This is the goal of life, is to live in accordance with nature. To live in accordance with our nature is to follow virtue and live in harmony with others. And people may ask, what makes it so good, this virtue? Number one, it's completely within our control. I won't get too much into the dichotomy of control, but following the words of Epictetus in his Enchiridion, he says, some things are within our power, others are not. Within our power are our opinion, motivation, desire, and aversion, and in a word, whatever is of our own doing. Not within our power, our health, our wealth, our reputation, our office, and in a word, whatever is not of our own doing. So, I believe the sun has come along and overexposed the image, but you can still hear my words. So we'll carry on talking. I do apologize for the overexposure. So only that which is within our control can be good, because everything else just happens as it does. It's nature, it's happening. And we do not control this, but we do control the fact that we can act in accordance with virtue. And what makes it so virtuous is that it keeps the harmony of humanity and civilization. If you was to imagine, as the Stoics did, Zeus, but if you was to imagine that God was playing a melody of the universe, and everything within the universe follows its nature and plays the melody so perfectly, just as God intended. And to follow virtue, to live in accordance with your nature, is to play the song in accordance with how God wants you to play the song. God is the orchestrator, and you are, let's say, playing the trumpet. And you're following the orchestra, whatever his name is. You're following the person, and you're playing so perfectly. And that is following virtue. You're keeping the harmony of the song. And if you're to follow vice, you go out of harmony. And what this means is humanity has this harmony that is virtue. When you follow virtue, it keeps this harmony. People remain happy. People remain trustful. People remain respectful. It keeps this harmony, and it creates a good society. A perfect utopia would be based off everyone living in accordance with virtue. And doing the opposite of that, foolishness, cowardice, intemperance and justice knocks out that harmony. So this society that is supposed to live in accordance with virtue has now been knocked out. So the melody is ruined. And why is this important in relation to the teachings I'm saying in this video? The impact it's had on me as I actually put in front of me what is good, virtue is good, I began to see things as just nature. Rude people, they're just nature. Events like missing your bus, bad weather, if you say whatever you describe as bad weather, irritations throughout the day, delays, all these things are just part of nature. And they're not good or bad. And when you really set your mind on what is good, you start to see that this is all just foreign. And the problem we're having in society today is social media and media and the popular people within society have put the wrong things on a pedestal, mainly clout. So clout is held so highly on a pedestal that everyone is moving towards that. And the things that push you away from clout, getting those viral views, getting the respect that you desire, making the crowd laugh, even if you are destroying yourself and ruining others' lives, that is what many people see as the highest good. And we can see this as, the most wanted job, most desired job with the youth today is to be a streamer or to be a YouTuber. And the YouTubers and streamers we're seeing are just, doing things that aren't so respectable, doing pranks and that kind of thing. Which, whatever, it's okay to have fun. But we're putting this kind of thing on a pedestal. And that is why you see the youth today just, kids smoking on buses and going against authority, saying awful things to people in public. I was walking my daughter on the same park I walk every day. And I've been to this park a lot where kids these kids are like maybe 12, 13, smash glass bottles, throw dog waste all around the park, this kind of thing, and shout abuse at people. And I've witnessed all this. But they always say it from a distance. But I remember one time I'm walking my daughter on the park and I'm very far away from these kids. There's like four lads, 2 girls, and they are shouting obscenities at me whilst I'm with my daughter. She's not even 2. And just the most disgusting things. And they're all laughing. But anyway, because they want that respect of their fellow individual. But if these youth were taught that they were taught that virtue is the highest good, and they really believed this, and they seen figures in the public that were virtuous characters, and they respected these people, even their parents were virtuous characters, their teachers, whatever. They seen famous people that lived in accordance with virtue, and that's who was put on the pedestal. Then when it came about that someone started shouting abuse at a father and his 2-year-old daughter, they would stand up and go, well, that's not cool. That's not good. What are you doing? So you put good before your very eyes. You put virtue before your very eyes. And when events happen, you say this is neither good, this is neither bad. It is indifferent. And it is based solely on how I respond to this thing that can be good or can be bad. So your goal always is to say, I must respond in accordance with virtue. And why should you do this? First of all, it removes the disturbance that this thing has on you. When someone is rude to me, I see it as nature. No one wants to be rude. It is based off of ignorance. No one wants to be ignorant, but this is the way we are in this world. We all have our own ignorances. Some people are raised in a way that they think these things are okay. And we show them it's not okay by acting in accordance with the way Stoicism teaches. So when events happen, you ask yourself, is this good? Is this bad? And oftentimes you'll say, this is neither good nor bad. What would be good, what would be bad, is how I respond to it. So I'll act accordingly, following virtue. And I can give you an example. I've told this story before. I got on a tram and I bought the ticket on the tram because it slipped my mind. I got on the tram and I bought the ticket on the tram, which I didn't think anything of. And then the ticket warden came round and asked to see the tickets. I showed my ticket and he said, "You bought this on the tram?" I was like, "Yeah, I did." I didn't know that was such a problem. So he took me off the tram and had a few words with me and then fined me £70. And I was late to work, all this kind of stuff. And I got back on the following few trams and I was like, this is a good time, because I was reading Epictetus at the time, actually, and which is probably, I was either reading Epictetus, Marcus Aurelius, or Seneca. And I'm reading his book and I thought, why not put this into practice and test my impressions? Stoics say test your impressions. So it's like a little funnel system. So ask yourself, is this good or bad? You go and you start arguing with yourself. You're like, well, it was rude. Can't you see I made a mistake? And then you go, well, not really. He's just following his job. Well, yeah, I'm still fined £70. That's bad. It's like, well, not really. Wealth is indifferent. It might irritate you, but it doesn't make you act bad. And I'm like, well, I was late to work. Well, what can I do? I messaged everyone, said I'm going to be late. I explained what happened, and no one was bothered. And I was like, whoa, I just wanted to hold on to that pain. Like, I wanted to be annoyed, because that's what humans do. We like to hang on to the annoyance. It's like Tolle calls it, the pain body wants more pain. Thinks by holding on to this pain, we will solve the pain. Think by holding on to anger, we will solve the anger. That the person that has angered us will see this and be like, whoa, I've angered them. I'm so sorry. This is not what happens. You just generate more pain. You generate more anger. So I kept testing my impressions, and it looked something like me saying, well, this is bad. And convincing myself, well, actually, it's not bad. What is bad? Or if I act in accordance with vice. And I kept saying, well, what would be good then if I act in accordance with virtue? So I did act in accordance with virtue, and that drifted off. And the reason I say this is many years ago, if something like that happened to me, I'd be talking about it many months later. And I know I am actually still talking about it, but it's in a different light, I suppose. So the event happens, someone posts something on social media that annoys you, you have a fraction of a moment there to attach yourself to it. Someone makes this post, you can go, I'm going to get annoyed, I'm going to comment, I'm going to argue this. And you're just feeding this annoyance. And you're generating a new opinion based off advice that is feeding the pain and making this slight event become a monster. And you will see this happen in your life when you've been wrapped up in arguments in the comment section and in the lunchroom. But if you just see that these events happen regardless, nature happens regardless, rude people are going to be rude. Birds are going to chirp in the morning. Dogs are going to bark when they see the mailman. Rude people are going to be rude. It is just a fact of life. Ignorant people are going to be ignorant. But you can always choose to be good. You can always choose that when this event happens, when a situation happens, when you could be disturbed, you're the one that chooses to disturb yourself by formulating opinions of it. You translate it into your mind into something that irritates you. Or you can do the Stoic method of seeing this all as a gain. Seeing this all as your sparring partner, as Marcus Aurelius says. When life gives you an irritating coworker, when life posts that annoying tweet, when life makes that story that just really gets under your skin, when life gives you a bus driver that is not a good person and just trying to just wind you up, when life gives you these things, life is also giving you a sparring partner. And the thing is, you say to your wrestling coach, I want to be the best wrestler there is. Well, your wrestling coach is going to give you difficult sparring partners. It's not going to give you easy sparring partners. Otherwise, you'll never grow. And that is the same. If you pray to God that you want to be stronger, you want to be wiser, you want to be kinder, you want to be more courageous, life is going to give you these challenges. God is going to give you these challenges. He's going to give you a very difficult sparring partner where you think, how can I deal with this? But if you always remember that it is not the thing that disturbs you, but the opinion you formulate on it that disturbs you, and you always remember that the thing is not bad, it is how you respond to it that is either good or bad. And your sole goal, the highest goal of your life, the thing you put before your very eyes right at the top, your North Star is, I must follow virtue. I must live in accordance with virtue. These things are not bad. I must be good. Then these things will not penetrate your mind. These things will be a foreign language. You won't even understand them the way you used to understand them. You see that annoying tweet, it doesn't bother you. You see it as a chance to go, I'll practice a little bit of patience here, and you do it. And it happens 10 times, and suddenly these things happen to you, and you couldn't care. Your annoying coworker keeps being annoying, keeps winding you up, keeps saying offensive things, whatever. And at the start, you see it as an irritation, and you say, I must see this as a chance to be empathetic. I must see this as a chance to be courageous, to stand up and tell this person, and put them right. And then suddenly these things happen to you, and instinctively, you respond to it in the way of virtue, in the way that is true to your character. And you keep doing this, and it'll seep into who you are. And then you'll get to a point after some time of practicing this where you've forgot the language of disturbance. You follow a new way of living, a way that is centered around control. You only have control over this thing here. Okay, you don't control me, you control yourself. I control me, my inner works, my opinion, motivation, desire, and aversion. And I control this in such a way that the external world that's outside of my control, that will try to penetrate my psyche, will try to seep in, I can choose how to respond to this in any which way possible. And now you might say things like, well, what if I lose my job? What if I lose my money? What if my plane is shot down and I land and get taken for prisoner of war? Am I supposed to respond good to that? Well, this can all be answered in stories, evidence of people that have been through these situations. You know, Epictetus talks about being threatened with death from the emperor, saying he would have his head chopped off. And he says, did I ever claim that you can't chop my head off? But you can never make me a bad person. And his tutor, Musonius Rufus, when he was exiled to the Greek island of Diaros, you know, he was taken away from his life, the life as he knew it. He saw it as a perfect opportunity to practice his philosophy. He didn't complain. He thought, wow, this is brilliant. And James Bond Stockdale wrote a book called Courage Under Fire. He was flying and he was shot down and he landed and became a prisoner of war. And he said, as he was falling, he said, goodbye to the modern world and hello to the world of Epictetus. And he thought, this is my chance to really practice the things I've been learning. And so he did. And he remained positive, and he was a great leader, a great figure. His book's really great. His story's really great. You can find it. You can find his book online, Amazon. Courage Under Fire, James Stockdale. And you know, these people seeing these challenges as good. I myself now, and for a long time actually, when I'm going through great difficulties, great challenges, even little ones at the start, you know, your bus is late, you see, let's practice Stoicism. And these little trivial things suddenly start to drift away, they dissolve before your very eyes. And you might think, well, that's not impressive, William. You don't care if the bus is late, you don't care if the bus driver's rude, you don't care if the people on the bus are rude. That's trivial. But it's not trivial. All these little things add up, and people let all these things disturb them. And if you're getting disturbed by little tweets, stories, posts, anything like that, what celebrities say, you can let this dissolve very quickly just by following this. But then the bigger things, you can keep following the Stoic principles. You can keep following these ideas and suddenly the big things will fall away. And now in life, when I have great challenges, you know, most of your greatest challenges in life, just personally for me and most people, is to do with children. You create a great sense of worry. New fears arise when you're holding this baby in your arms. And I saw it as a great opportunity to practice my virtue. And when difficulties arise, I think this great difficulty is happening regardless. It's out of my hand. It's in nature's hand. It's in God's hand. It's in the hands of the Almighty, in the hands of the universe. And when these things are happening, I just remind myself of this and say the only thing I can do in this situation is the best thing I can do is act in accordance with virtue. It makes me the purple thread, Epictetus, the thread that stands out on the toga that people can see. It makes me the embodiment of what I'm teaching. And the people around me will see this and it'll help them, but it also just helps me be a good person. So it's not things that disturb us, it's our opinion of these things. So the next time things happen, remind yourself that this is not good or bad. Remind yourself that you're the one adding weight to this. You're the one that makes it bad by formulating opinions of it. You could treat it like a foreign language and let it drift on past. And I guess this comes to a criticism of Stoicism that people say the Stoics are passive. They are not passive. The Stoics never taught passivity. Not Seneca, not Epictetus, not Marcus Aurelius. None of them, Zeno, Chrysippus, Cleanthes, none of them ever taught passivity. In fact, they really engaged in politics. They engaged in standing up for people. You know, justice is the crowning virtue at the end of the day. Courage is a virtue. You need to have the courage to stand up when the time is right. But, you know, a tweet or a story or an annoying bus driver, annoying person at work, they don't require much. You don't need to turn this into anything. You can let it drift on past and be about your day, because the most important thing is your inner citadel, your inner world, the thing that you control. And you can keep it free of disturbance by not engaging in the things that you formulate opinions on that result in disturbance. So acknowledge what's currently running through your mind, the things that are annoying you, and 95% of them will be trivial. 95% of them will be things you formulated opinions on, and really break down this so that you can let it go and be at peace. Because none of this baggage needs to be on your back. None of this stress needs to be on your back. None of these opinions that are disturbing you, they don't need to be there. You know, you can still act in the way you want to act. You can still stand up for what you think is right without letting it have so much influence over you, because it can often be a mist over your eyes so that you can't see clearly, you can't see the truth, and you're blinded by these opinions. So remove them all. Don't take life so seriously and be good. Focus on what you can control. I do apologize about the overexposure. I was going to stop. I had a pause partway through the video. I was going to stop, but I thought you can still hear me, and I didn't want to lose my train of thought, because if I was to film it again, it would be disingenuous. I'd be speaking over the same thing that I've spoke about. And I do try to make no cuts in these. The reason I do this is to make it more genuine, because I have to actually think what I'm saying and think, how can I get these words out correctly so that they can be understood with no cuts? Because I know what I have here, the teachings of Stoicism. I know that they can help people because they've saved my life and they've saved the lives of millions for over thousands of years. I know this. When people have read my book, they've told me that it's saved their life. I've had some beautiful messages saying it's changed their perspective, it's helped them in their life, it's helped them in their relationship, it's helped them to understand the universe and understand how to be a good person. And all I'm doing is sharing Stoicism. It's not like I'm not creating anything new. I can't take credit for the words that are in this. I can't take credit for the words that I'm saying. All I can take credit for is that I am explaining it in a way that I understand. And I understood when I thought that philosophy was for the rich elite, the well-educated. And I was working on the labouring sites, getting paid less than half of minimum wage. And I was really hating life. And I found the meditations, and it got me out of this mindset, this victim mentality that Stoics talk about. They call it the slave mentality. And, you know, it's different times back then. Epictetus, he was a slave, but he did not adopt this slave mentality. And, you know, I'm just explaining it in a way that I understood. And I know most people understand it in this way. So that's why I don't like to do courts. I don't like all this new age YouTube kind of stuff where it's heavy editing. It's all pretty false. All this hype. I'm trying to unhype, I suppose. These truths have been true for thousands of years, and they'll be true for thousands more. They are the truths of humanity, the truths of the behavior of humans. We will always see virtue as good. We will always know that virtue is what keeps harmony within society. The things like clout and all this short-term gratification, all of it, it doesn't keep harmony. It's actually destroying us. And I'm seeing a big rise in problems today caused from all of this, because we're not seeing what is good. Good is not being put on a pedestal. And many times in history, virtue was put on a pedestal with these characters that we celebrated. We no longer celebrate these characters. We no longer make heroes out of these characters. We now make heroes out of some of the worst kind of things. We make heroes out of vice. We make heroes out of lust. Heroes out of greed. Heroes out of selfishness and clout. And it's not good. It's not what I'm wanting for myself and the people around me. It's not what I'm wanting for the people that I can reach. I want you to go against the noise. I want you to drown that noise out and reach this peaceful content that I'm sitting at, that many of us are sitting at, when we drown out the noise and we just follow the simple truths of humanity. Stoicism put it in such a way, like many religions, many philosophies, they teach the same thing. Stoicism put it in such a way that is so easy to understand, so practical, so graspable. And I grasped it and it changed my life. And I'm just trying to get it in a way where you can understand that. And a way that will actually help you. So, where do we go from now? Try actually follow these things. You know, like I said at the start, I was reading Stoicism for many years, studying it, and it wasn't helping me to the best of its ability, because I was spending most of my time just studying and learning. Just put these things into practice. Really put virtue before your very eyes. And every day you get disturbed by something, say, is this good or bad? Will I be good or bad? And that's all you need to do. You really need to keep testing yourself. And over time, it's like going to the gym. You'll build your muscles. You'll get stronger and stronger. And it's not too hard. You don't have to be, you know, people have made Stoics out to be as if they were Spartans. And they lived these very harsh, difficult lives and ice baths every day. You can do that. There's nothing against that. I like to have a cold bath every day. And I like to test myself. You don't need to do that. You just need to follow God. And you really need to have the courage and the wisdom and the patience to really push against the hype. Really see that this stuff is not bringing you joy. That you going on social media, trying to get those likes every day, trying to get validation from random strangers online, just trying to fit in with all this, it's not bringing you anything. You know that. What brings you something is the peace you have from controlling your own inner citadel. So hopefully this was helpful. Have a wonderful day. Oh, I forgot to drink my coffee. It's lovely. Oh, I suppose to say that I'm doing more of these videos, of course. It's my passion. I like doing this. And many of you have been following for a long time. So I would like feedback on what you prefer, what type of style you prefer. This is honestly my favorite type of style. I'm thinking of changing location. I want to get out in the nature where I feel most comfortable. And I think it creates a better environment. The only thing I do worry about is I'm inside currently, and there's actually a fogged out window there, but still you've seen how much the light disturbed the visuals of this. So I do wonder about being outside. The changing seasons will disturb the setup. I don't think the setup's too important, but I think if you can feel the environment that I'm sitting in, it feels nice. Right now I can hear the cars going past. It's been raining, so you can hear the cars going past. And it just has that nice ambience. I don't know if that's being picked up here, but I'm sure if I go out into the woods or a field or by a lake, that will be picked up. So let me know what's been of most valuable to you, what's been of most value to you from my content throughout the years. Because I'm really trying to, it doesn't bother me too much how and where I film it. I just like to be relaxed and be honest and speak without cuts. That's my preference. So if you're wanting cuts, then I'm sorry, this is not the channel for you. This is not the podcast for you. But let me know what you want to see more of. If you like the guest, if you like certain topics, if you like a different environment, whatever you like. Many of you have been following me for many years. And if you want to support me, that's a great support. Helping me tailor this content to improve the delivery so it reaches more people. Because ultimately, I love what I do, but it's not reaching that many people. So I don't know how many people it's having an impact on. But Mr. Beast is reaching hundreds of millions. Logan Paul reaching hundreds of millions. Those sort of people. Bonnie Blue. All these people are reaching millions and hundreds of millions of people, and they're penetrating the minds of them, the souls of them, what they put on a pedestal. And whether you agree with it or not, whatever it is, I want to reach people so I can help people put these practices from Stoicism on a pedestal to just be ordinary good people and see that as life's greatest goal, life's greatest blessing. Because Marcus Aurelius is seeing that as being a good person was the greatest goal. And he was the emperor of Rome during the golden era, the Pax Romana. There's the last great emperor of Rome. And he had everything, could do what he wanted, but he just thought, I just want to be good. So your feedback is very useful. And the feedback on the book is very useful because I'm currently writing my other book. It's been a long time in the works. And I'll be very honest why it's been so long. This is a great opportunity for me, being published by with such a respectable publisher, Penguin, and being translated into 15 languages. It was such a great opportunity and such a lovely thing to do. I was very happy to work on it. And then straight away, I started writing more books. I wrote a few books and I just wanted to get them out there to ride that wave. I've got a successful book here, get another book out. It's going to be successful. It might help me boost my profile, this kind of thing. And I just had to stop myself. I was like, if I'm writing a book just to ride a wave, just to boost my profile, who's that really going to help? So I took a step back and I've been thinking for a very long time, challenging myself, learning a lot. And I reached the conclusion of what I want to write. And I'm very passionate about it. So I'm currently writing it. But your feedback on the book has been helpful. The way people said in which it helped, ways in which people didn't like. Mostly what people didn't like is the audiobook because I don't speak very clear, apparently. My accent's hard to understand. I don't know. Everyone understands me around me, but they're from the same place. So But yeah, I'm not going to change that. Next time I do an audiobook, I'm not going to change that. I apologize. I'm still going to read it myself. I've been practicing to speak clearer. Anyway, I've come a long way. You should have heard me a few years ago. But the feedback's been tremendous. And it's been a great push to the passion of writing the next book. And it is something far beyond anything I could have ever imagined. It's a very great goal. And I do believe the reason I'm so passionate about writing this is I think this is the only thing I could formulate that I just don't see it anywhere in the world that can actually change your life. If you get hold of this book, your life will be changed. I kept thinking, like, I need to do something like that. I can't just write another book to ride the wave. There's so many other people who are writing books than me and writing more books than me, and so many people are better marketers than me. You know, as I've noticed, not all the best books sell millions. Some terrible books sell millions and millions, but it's very good marketing. I'm not going to say which books because that's just my opinion, but some of the best books I've ever read get no readers because it's just the marketing. And I wanted to write something that will actually, if I could just get it in someone's hand, if I can convince someone to hold this book and they read a bit of it, it will change their life. And that's what I'm doing. But your feedback on this book, feedback on my content, what you want, what will help you, what does help you, I'm reading that stuff. I'm studying that stuff because I understand what I need to teach. I just need to understand how to really penetrate the minds of the everyday person to become changeable. Because Stoicism didn't penetrate my mind so quick. The idea was planted, but it didn't change my life drastically until I really understood it. And I want to know how people make that switch. I understand how I made that switch, so I can teach to people like me, but many people are different. I want to understand the viewer. I want to understand you. So all these things, always giving me feedback, always leaving comments. You might think it's a silly comment. It means the world to me. The messages mean the world to me. The feedback, the reviews, everything, it means so much to me. It helps me deliver these things in a better way. It helps me live out my passion because I love doing this. It's just, these videos get like 500 views and it's not ideal. But if I can get the feedback to help tailor these things to really penetrate the minds of people and the lives of people, then that's all I could ever ask for. Thank you.